Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon everyone. Answer on this day, I'm Miss Faljana. As the moderator, we will guide the discussion activities. The topic we will talk about is the story of counting and measuring time. Before the discussion begins, I will introduce the member of Group 9 who will present the material, namely Rian Setiawan, Justiananda, and I, Miss Faljana. Before starting the material, I will read the background of this material. The measurement of time began with the invention of sundial in ancient Egypt sometime prior to 1500 BC. However, the time the Egyptians measured was not the same as the time today clocks measure. For the Egyptian and indeed for a few to 3 millennia, the basic unit of time was the period of daylight. The Egyptians broke the period from the sunrise to sunset into 12 equal parts, giving us the forerunner of today's hours. As a result, the Egyptian hour was not a constant length of time, as is the case today. Rather, as 1/12 of daylight period, it varied with length of the day, and hence with the seasons. It also varied from place to place on the surface of the earth. And of course, time as a measurable concept effectively cased during the hours of darkness.
Okay, for the presentation of the first material, it will be started by the first speaker, Rian Setiawan.
History of counting. There is archaeological evidence suggesting that humans have been counting for at least 50,000 years. Counting was primarily used by ancient cultures to keep track of social and economic data, such as the number of group members, prey animals, property, or debt. It is a contingency. Noted bones were also found in the border sea caves in South Africa that may suggest that the concept of counting was known to humans as far back as 44,000 BCE. The development of counting led to the development of mathematical notation, numeral system, and writing. It is possible that count older, a much older hominoid than Neanderthals were Homo erectus, which evolved from 1,500,000 years ago until about 300,000 years ago. They have no brain power, either modern human or Neanderthals, but do they count? Once again, we don't know now, and put yourself in the hands of archaeologists for modern proof. However, in 1994, Hartmut of the Historical Institute Preservation in Hanover, Germany, found 400,000 years old church spire in a coal pit east of Hanover. This well carved and weighty spire probably made by the late Homo erectus. If counting down hundreds of thousands of years and within a few were programmed into our brains, then counting a number are part of useful natural. Being human means counting and knowing numbers or money games. use number. We put number into our music. We use it to identify our home and telephone number. People study all kinds of complex number index to monitor the stock market. Use of numbers, counting and simple arithmetic is firmware. Sense. Time is the continuous sequence of existence and event that occurs in an apparently irreversible succession from the past through the present into the future. It is a component quantity of various measurement used to present event to compare the duration of event or the interval between them and to quantify rates of change of quantities in the material reality or in the continuous experience. Time is often referred to as the fourth dimension, along with the three spatial dimensions. Time has long been an important subject of study in religion, philosophy, and science, but define them in a way that at least two alphabets without cartullarity have consistently eluded scholars. However, various fields such as business, industry, sport, science, and performing arts all incorporate some idea of time into each one measurement system.
For the next material will be continued by the second speaker, Zulistiananda.
3. Time measurement. Time measurement is the work of observing and recording work, time, each element or cycle using the tools that have been prepared. Standard time or time required by an average level worker. Ability to complete a job which includes time allowance given by take into account the situation and condition of the work to be complete. History of measuring time. Sejarah pengukuran waktu. Sejak manusia pertama kali memperhatikan pergerakan teratur matahari dan bintang-bintang, kita telah bertanya-tanya tentang perjalanan waktu. Orang-orang prasejarah pertama kali mencatat fase-fase bulan sekitar 30.000 tahun yang lalu, dan mencatat waktu telah menjadi cara manusia mengamati langit dan mewakili kemajuan peradaban. Kita bisa melihat dari sejarah Babilonia, yaitu from about 700 BCE, the Babylonians began to develop a mathematical theory of astronomy, but the accurately defined 12 constellation zodiac appears later, about 500 BCE, to correspond to their year of 12 months of 30 days each. Their base 60 fraction system, which we still use today, degrees or hour, minutes, and seconds. What much easier to calculate with than the fraction used in Egypt or Greece, and remain the main calculation tool for astronomers until after the 16th century, when decimal notation began to take over. The earliest archaeological evidence of Chinese calendars appears about
2000 BCE. They show a 12-month year with the occasional occurrence of a 13-month. However, traditional Chinese record suggests the origin of a calendar of 366 days, depending on the movement of the sun and the moon, as early as 300 BCE. Over such a long period of observation, Chinese astronomers became aware that their calendar was not accurate, and by the 2nd century CE, it was recognized that the calendar became unreliable every 300 years. This problem is called precession and was recorded by Chinese historians in the 4th and 5th century CE. In the 5th century CE, the scholar Zhu Chongzi created the first calendar which took precession into account, and the most comprehensive calendar was the Dayan calendar compiled in the Tang Dynasty, well ahead of any such development in Europe. Jika membicarakan tentang alat ukur sejarah waktu, pertama kali yang kita ingat pasti jam pasir. Sebenarnya jam pasir bukanlah alat ukur yang ditemukan pertama kali. Pertama alat pengukur waktu dikenal sebagai jam matahari, di mana pengukuran perangkat menggunakan unit matahari. Jika matahari tepat di kepala kita, maka itu disebut hari. Dan jika matahari memberikan bayangan di depan kita, itu akan disebut malam. Ini jam matahari ditemukan oleh Ibnu Al-Satir. Ibnu Al-Satir adalah seorang astronom. Dia membuat jam matahari pada tahun 777 Hijriah atau 1375 Masehi. Ibnu menciptakan jam matahari ini untuk digunakan untuk sebuah masjid Jami' Umayyah di Damaskus. Saat itu dia dianggap telah mencapai ciptaan tertinggi. Setelah jam matahari kemudian dilanjutkan dengan jam air. Setelah 1400 sebelum Masehi, jam air telah ditemukan di Mesir. Jam itu disebut klepsidra. Setelah itu, Aljazair membuat jam air berbentuk gajah, dan jam ini besutan Al-Zajiri bisa menghasilkan suara yang mantap. Setelah jam air, jam pasir telah dibuat. Setelah jam pasir dimulai dari manusia melihat pasir bergerak ke bawah yang dapat digunakan untuk satuan waktu. Pada waktu itu pasir digunakan karena suhu tertentu jam ini tidak membekukan. Akhirnya mereka menggunakan media pasir untuk menjadikannya sebagai satuan waktu. Pada tahun 1950, jam digital ditemukan. Penemu ini jam tangan digital bernama Hamilton Watch dari Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Hamilton juga merupakan perusahaan pertama yang membuat jam di dunia. Kemudian setelah Hamilton membuat jam digital ini diikuti oleh Rolex. Sekian dan terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, the next material will be continued by myself, Miss Faljana.
Invention for measuring and regulating time. The early inventions were made to divide the day or the night into different periods in order to regulate work or ritual, so the length of the time periods varied greatly from place to place and from one culture to another. Oil lamp. There is archaeological evidence of oil lamps about 4000 BCE, and the Chinese were using oil for heating and lighting by 2000 BCE. Oil lamps are still significant in religious practice, symbolic of the journey from darkness and ignorance to light and knowledge. The shape of the lamp gradually evolved into the typical pottery style shown. It was possible to devise a way of measuring the level in the oil reservoir to measure the passing of time. Candle clocks. Market candles were used for telling the time in China from the 6th century CE. There is a popular story that King Alfred the Great invented the candle clock, but do we know they were in use in England from the 3rd century CE. However, the rate of burning is subject to drugs and the variable quality of the wax. Like oil lamps, candles were used to mark the passage of time from one event to another rather than tell the time of the day. Water clocks. The water clock or clepsydra appears to have been invented about 1500 BCE and was a device which relied on a steady flow of water from or into a container. Measurement could be marked on the container or on a receptacle for the water. In comparison with the candle or the oil lamps, the clepsydra was more reliable, but the water flow still depended on variation of pressure from the head of water in the container. Astronomical and astrological clock making was developed in China from 200 to 1300 CE. Early Chinese clepsydras drove various mechanisms illustrating astronomical phenomena. The astronomer Susung and his associates built an elaborate clepsydra in 1088 CE. This device incorporated a water-driven bucket system originally invented about 725 CE. Among the display were a bronze power-driven rotating celestial globe and the mannequins that rang gongs and indicate special times of the day. Hourglasses or sunglasses. As the technology of glass blowing developed from some time in the 14th century, it became possible to make sunglasses. Originally, sunglasses were used as a measure from periods of time like the lamps or candles, but as clocks became more accurate, they were used to calibrate sunglasses to measure specific periods of time and to determine the duration of sermons, university lectures, and even period of torture. The division of the day and the length of the hour. An Egyptian sundial from about 1500 BCE is the earliest evidence of the division of the day into equal parts. But the sundial was no use at night. The passage of time was extremely important from astronomers, and priests were responsible for determining the exact hour for the daily rituals and for the important religious festival. So water clocks was invented. The market. The Egyptians improved upon the sundial with a market, one of the oldest known astronomical instruments. It was developed around 600 BCE and they used a string with a wedge as a plumb line to obtain a true vertical line. As in the picture, the other object is the rib of a palm leaf, stripped of its fronds and split at one end, making it then slit for a side. A pair of markets were used to establish a north-south direction by lining them up one behind the other with the pole star. Following the plumb line stroke, the side made sure the two markets and the side were in the same straight line with the pole star. This allowed for the measurement of night time even with a water clock when certain stars crossed the vertical plumb line, a transit line, and thus even called then be recorded by next timelines drawn on a sundial. Earliest mechanical clocks. Mechanical clocks replaced the old water clocks and the first clock escapement. Mechanism appears to have been invented in 1275. The first drawing of an escapement was given by Jacopo di Dondi in 1364. In the early to mid 14th century, large mechanical clocks began to appear in the towers of several cities. There is no evidence or record of the working model of these public clocks that were weight-driven. All had the same basic problem. The period of oscillation of the mechanisms depended heavily on the driving force of the weights and the friction in the drive. In later medieval times, elaborate clocks were built in public places. This is the astronomical clock in Prague, part of which date from about 1410. The earliest surviving spring-driven clock can be found in the Science Museum in London and dates from about 1450. Replacing the heavy drive weights with a spring permitted smaller and portable clocks and the watches. More accurate mechanical clock. Christian Huygens made the first pendulum clock regulated by a mechanism with a natural period of oscillation in 1656. Galileo studied pendulum motion as early as 1582, but his design for a clock was not built before his death. Huygens' pendulum clock had an error of less than 1 minute a day, and his later refinements reduced his clock error to less than 10 seconds a day. There was no device for keeping accurate time at sea until John Harrison, a carpenter and instrument maker, refined techniques for temperature composition and found new ways of reducing reflection. By 1761, he had built a marine chronometer with a spring and a balance wheel escapement that kept a very accurate time. With the final version of his chronometer, which looked like a larger pocket watch, he achieved a means of determining longitude to within 1/2 a degree. It was not until 1884 that a conference at Greenwich reached agreement on global time measurement and adopted Greenwich Mean Time as the international standard. Today, we rely on atomic clocks for our most accurate time measurement.
Okay, that is the material that has been presented by Group 9, and I will add two supporting notes for this material. Note 1. When you think about the problem, we can find the south easily from the sun at midday. Looking at the night sky, we eventually deduce that there is a fixed point in the heavens around which all the stars rotate on every day. This is where we find the pole star. This is the celestial pole which was different for the Egyptian from today because of the phenomenon of precession up to about 1900 BCE. The celestial pole was Tuban, a star in the tail of the constellation Draco. By 1000 BCE, it was Tuban in the constellation Ursa Minor, today Polaris in the last star in the tail of Ursa Minor. Note 2. Sun time and clock time are different. Sun time is based on the fact that the sun reaches its highest point in the middle of the day, and on the next day at its highest point it will have completed a full cycle. However, the time between the sun reaching successive meridian is often different from clock time. According to time from May to August, the day is close to 24 hours, but in late October the days are about 15 minutes shorter, while in mid-February the days are about 14 minutes longer. For our daily routines, it is important to have a constant clock time of 24 hours. This variation is called the equation of time and shows the relationship between sun time and the clock time. The variation has two causes. The plane of the Earth equator is inclined to the Earth orbit around the Sun, and the orbit of the Earth around the Sun is an ellipse and not a circle. The National Maritime Museum website shows two separate graphs for these causes and a third graph where they are combined to give the full correction. Okay, that's all the material about the history of counting and measuring time that has been delivered by Group 9. I close it for our presentation. If there are any wrong words, I'm sorry. Thank you for your attention and Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.